Good afternoon, beautiful community. God bless each and every one of you, and thank you so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with me. We have a great podcast coming up with special guest Jamie Rice, who is joining us again from last week. So I'm very pumped to continue that discussion, because it's very, very important, TIs. We must, the very first thing we must do for our own personal healing and liberation is to open our hearts and to allow healing in. This is our greatest weapon against this covert technology being used against us in these times. And in addition to that, we must continue to spread the awareness. Our voices will not be stifled and squandered any longer. We are rising up as a community. We are strong and we are covered by God in the universe. And we will not take this any longer. So, as always, let's get into the week in review for targeted justice. But before I do that, I want to send a very special thank you to Ortain, who redid the intro for The Chosen Heroes. He is so gifted and talented, just as so many of you are in this community. You have such great skills, and you're just so valuable and so talented. So again, thank you, Ortain, for the beautiful new intro. All right, let me bring to the stage the news for targeted justice. All right. So Targeted Justice asks that you please copy and paste the Targeted Justice newsletter for those who subscribe, and that newsletter again is available on Substack. If you would please post the content on X, Truth Social, and other social media platforms. They ask that you do not post the link, because we have learned that the link has been intercepted as a countermeasure to not get that information out. But if you simply copy and paste the text into your social media, then we're good to go. And if you're not able to subscribe to the newsletter, so Targeted Justice has lots of information that is available on their website and on X and other platforms that you can simply, copy and paste as well. There's lots of PDFs and downloadables on the Targeted Justice website for you, along with, letter templates and just a wealth of information. So if you can commit to a couple of times a week going out and pasting that information, we're just creating this big wave of awareness, and we're raising our voices and the consciousness of this data getting out into the public eye for consumption. So very important. Dr. Lynn Burr participated in the new Targeted Children and V2K discussion that is hosted on the X platform, the Spaces. That's kind of like their live stream. It's called Spaces on X. It was held on the 29th of this week. The call was led by two parents of children that are targeted with V2K. And Dr. Burr discussed the children's developing brain structures, and along with how V2K can induce brain damage to tissue damage. If you weren't able to play it or participate in the live discussion, it is available for play on X. Targeted Justice has also started a very important conference call for targeted veterans as well. Even though those who served for our country, they can be targeted as well. I personally have a friend that I know that is targeted and served in the military. So the first episode was on the 23rd, and it was featured on X's Spaces platform. And it is available to you to play that podcast as well on replay. And make sure that you check out periodically the TI Events webpage. It's tievents.org. You can see what's coming up for the week ahead, along with the Targeted Justice newsletter. That also lists out events as well. Dr. Lynn Burr for next week will be giving a deep dive discussion about Havana syndrome on the 5th. That will be hosted on Spaces, by X as well. So I save the date. And then again, if you're not able to attend the live, you can do the replay. Targeted Justice is very good about putting links to the live replays on their X platform as well. So, and I try to repost those on the Chosen Heroes X also. If you would please continue to send letters to Pete Hegseth, who is the new Secretary of Defense. The address is listed on the screen. There is an example template of a letter that was posted on the Targeted Justice newsletter on 1/26. Targeted Justice is also still looking for international podcasters. If you're in India, UK, Canada, Australia, if I can do it, you can too. And Targeted Justice is very supportive of those who want to do a podcast, and will be there with you to navigate you through and give you good advice and steps. There is a step-by-step guide for podcasting listed on the screen. And if you are interested in volunteering for Targeted Justice, we have lots of projects that are in motion. And if you would like to contribute and you're dedicated to continuing to see the project through, please write Targeted Justice at tjustice2@proton.me. All right, let's get started. Let me remove this from the stage. What I'm going to do is, as always, I felt God has given me some messages for you this week. Some I've shared on X, but I know that not everyone is on X. So I wanted to make sure that I reiterated those messages. And I also want to, as always, say a prayer for us. I thank you, God, universe, for providing the path to host the Chosen Heroes. I thank you for your continued guidance and messages that our community needs that will ignite their healing journey and liberation. I ask that you bless each person in attendance and those who may be listening to the podcast later on. I ask that you guide each person in their days ahead. I thank you, God, universe, for shielding us and sending teams of angels to protect us and our families. I thank you, God, for your divine perfection blueprint that is unfolding the exposure and accountability of those responsible for these heinous crimes against civilians all over the world. I thank you, God, for exposing and leaking the content of the mega databases that house the information about our torture, the handlers assigned to us, and the government entities who participate and look the other way while so many are violated. God, universe, you are all-seeing and all-knowing. Nothing escapes your observation. We trust in your plan, and we will work on our healing as your perfect divine plan unfolds. Thank you, God, universe. I give all the glory and credit to God in the universe. I'm a humble conduit for the divine to give guidance, knowledge, and instructions and hope to all those being attacked. This is my sole mission. I'm very clear on it. I was meant to do this, and God made the path. I never thought this would be possible, but God made the path. And when God steps in and intervenes, anything is possible. There is a global uprising in progress here, community. We are important instruments to the plan unfolding. We must all continue to rise up and spread information about these torture programs, all the while embarking upon our own inner healing journey. Because that is co-creation with God in the universe. We got to do our part. We got to start healing ourselves. When we open our heart and we open the door to allow that healing, because we are so worthy. We are not worthy of what is happening to us. We are not going to be defined by these attacks. We're going to use them as a catalyst to ascend ourselves on this journey. And when we do that, by we allowing our heart and that door to be open, that is when God and the universe steps in and is our fire and our protection, moving forward and navigating it. It's no longer just us alone. It is God and the universe supporting us. So what I'm asking is, if there's some area where there is a block and you're procrastinating, I ask that today you let it go. Because the goal, that is the counter to halt you from moving forward. Because the last thing these type of programs want you to do is to succeed and to take action against it. Okay? Because the goal is to destroy you. So don't put off things to tomorrow, next week, or next month. You start today. Make every single day count. And reconcile your heart. You got to free up that space in your heart so that all the good and the blessings can come inside. In these times where, cyber interfaces, a digital twin, all of these things are being exposed, and that is being used against us in our organic bodily structures. That is God shining the light on this, because that information is coming out because of God in the universe. Can you imagine that? A digital twin of yourself, of your mind, that includes all of your wounds, your fear, your trauma, your phobias, your insecurities, your self-criticism, all of that being used against you to attack you and pigeonhole you. So essentially, this copy of yourself is being used against you. A copy of you is being used against you. It's just unbelievable that we're in these times, right? Because what that does is it creates this vicious loop and cycle of you against you. All right. So what counters this digital copy that's being used against you? Your inner healing. Okay. That is what counters it. You've got to get so in tune with building that resistance and firewall within your mind that breaks the code. Okay, so think of it as a computer program. It errors itself out, cannot computer process reaction not found. Because why? Our reaction is what's necessary. How we reacted before, the pattern that we had before, that's what is known, right? So you've got to flip the script and break the code and let go of that programming and pattern that you may be in. You've got to navigate this, you've got to master it, and you will win. We will be captives no longer. We step into our divine power. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We will navigate the maze of challenges, setbacks, attacks, and tests with guidance from God and the universe. We are the steel welded by the fires that create a beautiful and strong weapon against darkness. So shine brightly, beloveds, because you are the light. And I thank you. I was guided some of this information today, and I wanted to share it with you, beloved community. So without further ado, our special guest, Jamie Rice. Hi, Jamie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi there. How is everyone?
Awesome. So what do you have for us today, Jamie?
Okay, so last week I mentioned that we would work through building the mental workspace, the neural network, and energy mapping system. However, I thought it through, sifted and sorted through what I thought would be the best way to go about this. And I realized that it's too soon to do an exercise like this without having an understanding of the basics, observer mode training, understanding cognitive dissonance, how it affects the nervous system, building mind, brain, heart, nervous system, free will coherence, the basics on how to do that. So I'm going to put that off, and I thought we would do a guided tour just to sort of get an understanding of how we're going to build a neural network and energy mapping system. So I wanted to offer workshops starting at the foundation level and see if we have any interest for that. We can do weekly workshops, whatever is best on how to go about that. But I wanted to see if we have any interest first.
And I'll put out a poll on my X page to gauge interest and timing intervals, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly, and just to gauge response. And
Okay.
it's very, very generous for Jamie to offer these guided sessions and workshops to the community, knowing that the community desperately needs this, and because the inner healing is the catalyst here to counter these attacks. So she is graciously willing to hold these meetings for our community. So thank you, Jamie.
Welcome. So moving forward, with that being said, it's very important that everyone studies the targeted individual counterterrorism action plan to get an overall idea of what we're doing. And then I prepared a tactical backpack, how we're going to build it, if they could familiarize themselves with that, and then the problem solving formula. Because all of these things we need for our foundations to do the energy map.
Yes, exactly. And you know what I will do here? Let me get the links posted right now for all of these documents. I will go ahead and get that posted out. There we go. I got them right here. Let me paste this in the chat for everybody.
So this architecture is the mental workspace. It's where we start our journey for creating a personalized neural network and energy mapping system. This model does require observer mode training and an understanding of non-attachment, non-judgment, and non-expectation. This is the architecture for building mind, brain, heart, nervous system, free will coherence, a cryptographic mind, and an internal security system. This is also where we start to learn how to be a systems thinker, where we look at information as data, so input and output, but we create a space to work through formulas because they are attacking our responses. So we really need response training. So I prepared another document it's called Mission Guide, and it spells out observer mode and the different defense mechanism programs that we're dealing with. For example, displacement, denial, repression, suppression, projection, rationalization, regression, reaction formation, acting out, avoidance, and things like that. Once we have an idea of these definitions, we can start to recognize our behaviors when we have an idea of what they mean. Otherwise, these behaviors are just like breathing. You're not sitting there saying, I'm breathing. I took my first breath. Oh, my second breath. You're not doing that. So it's happening just like a clock is ticking. We have to become aware of our responses so we can transform them and take us out of the programs.
Absolutely. I've got the document links posted. I think they're posting multiple times, but that should definitely get you started. I saw that it kind of broke it up. It kind of lumped it all together. So I made them individual. So there's a total of 5 documents. The one that is displayed right now is the mission guide. And then I've also uploaded the problem solving formula, and then the mind, brain, heart, nervous system, free will architecture, as well as the building a tactical backpack for dismantling mind control.
Sounds about right.
All right. So are we going to start now and dig into the meditations, or?
Yes, if that's okay with you.
Yes. Okay. All right. So is there a particular diagram that would be good to display as we go through this, just for background?
I would say the mind, brain, heart, nervous system architecture, because what we're doing is essentially bringing in more self-awareness, honesty, self-accountability, empathy, self-compassion, self-acceptance, and gratitude. Because what we're going to do is we're going to work with our emotions and what comes up so we can transform those energies. But we have to be willing to be able to sit with our emotions and map out how we feel and the emotions behind our feelings and what it's attached to. And once we start identifying these programs, for example, I designed this for complexity, vulnerability, and uncertainty, because those are the 3 programs that are just hitting our nervous system nonstop throughout the day. So if we can bring these spheres into our awareness, we can process out some of this emotion, and this will give us a taste of the process that we're going to be moving into. So this is a listening process, a breathing, anchoring into your breath, connecting with the higher mind, and feeling into the questions. And it's not uncommon when we start probing to feel, I call it seems like a bee's nest is stirring inside. So that's normal. It's going to be uncomfortable possibly, but breathe it out. Your breath is your first line of defense, and it's the first thing taken away from you when under attack. You'll notice that you hold your breath. So the breath, anchoring in. I do a 5 count in, 6 count out. The out breath, the extra count, releases a chemical in the brain, which creates a natural calming. So really, this is about listening, identifying, and if anyone wants to grab a piece of paper and write down the words that come up, that would be helpful to be able to go back and go through the ideas that came up. So when you're asking the questions, just write the word that comes to mind, or whatever words come after that. Okay?
Very good. And in this diagram, can you explain the 2 sides? You've got the green, and then you've got the dark red. So can you explain the 2 sides of this document?
So this side is the input of information. Okay? So we're going to ask a question. and we're going to listen and feel into our body
Mm-hmm.
and allow answers to come in so that we
Mm-hmm.
can then process out that energy. So it's really an energy mapping system, but this is just the foundation. Okay, so this map is going to get complex, but without the proper definitions to know what we're doing, it's kind of hard to work the map. So this is input, processing, output. That's the architecture for systems thinking. Okay, so we approach things from non-dual awareness, non-judgment, non-attachment, non-expectation. We feel into questions, we listen for answers, we put together a script to be able to maneuver through the questions, and then we wait for answers. And usually, it's going to move some of the energy through. We're dealing with deep-seated fears here: anger, frustration, resentment, and grief. We're stuck in deep sadness and grief of this. I mean, the reality is we had to wake up to something that is so complex and hard for us to understand, let alone wrap your head around it. So we really need the tools, which is processing out our emotions, because when we release the emotions, we can bring in more self-awareness, and knowledge is power. And that's what we're looking for, is we're creating a pathway, a neural network to be able to process and discern data as information and energy exchange. So this builds the connection to the higher self, observer state awareness, and the ability to move forward, because our responses are the next port that we're moving from. So it's constantly going, the program is vying for your attention. It's trying to get you to end on a negative note, you know?
Exactly.
So we need to process out this and learn how to communicate effectively through the proper dialogue. So I think this guided tour will be a good way of getting a feel for this process.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we'll get started with the guided tour. I'm going to read aloud what Jamie has prepared for us today. So let's start out with that deep breath. I just took a deep inhale and then I just had shivers go through. So again, as Jamie stated, these attacks is just almost like they're closing off our airway and we're not breathing as deeply as we should. And with the shallow breathing, you are denying your systems, your bodily systems, the oxygen needed to function at full capacity. So breath work is very critical, and especially under the attack. And if we can train ourselves to start breath work under attack, I know that a lot of times I will get it like almost like choking, and so what I do is I just start my deep breath work and connecting with God and the universe, and bringing in that light in with me, and exhaling the stress, the pain, the uncomfortableness. So we have to get into the habit of this breath work. So take a couple of deep breaths, like Jamie instructed. It's 5 in. So come on, everybody. 5 in. 6 out. Now do that 2 more times. Breathe in the light. Exhale out the stress, discomfort, anxiety, anxiousness. Breathe in again. And exhale all the bad. You need to allow yourself to relax. Just keep breathing and relaxing and moving your breath in and out of your body. On this next one, I want you to take a deep breath in and imagine roots growing from the base of your spine and going down deep into the earth. And with each exhale and breath in, you feel yourself becoming more grounded and connected to this present moment. Okay, so what we're going to move into is creating a mental workspace. I ask that you imagine yourself standing in a peaceful, serene environment, such as a beach, a forest, or whatever resonates with you as being peaceful and serene. Now, notice the sights, the sounds, and sensations in this serene, peaceful environment. Now imagine a door or a gateway present itself in front of you. As you open this door, gateway, or pathway, you enter in a mental workspace that is equally yours and yours alone. In this space, imagine a large, empty canvas or blank sheet of paper. This represents your mental workspace, your personal neural network, an energy mapping system where you can process and release emotions safely. You are now in your safe space to work. We're going to now move into releasing complexity, uncertainty, and vulnerability. Continue breathing. You are in your safe space. And imagine complexities and uncertainties and vulnerabilities you've been experiencing as a targeted individual, as being a dense, heavy fog. So you visualize all of that complexity and uncertainty and vulnerability just being this dense fog around you. As you inhale now on this next deep breath, imagine that fog entering in to your body. And as you exhale, imagine this fog leaving your body and dissolving into the air. You see it just dissolving right in front of you. Now, repeat the following phrases to yourself, allowing the emotions. Remember, you are in your safe place. It is okay to allow these emotions to come forward. Allow the physical sensations to arise up in you and release. Now, say to yourself these statements. I release the complexities, uncertainties, and vulnerabilities that have been weighing me down. I let go of the need to control and understand everything. Keep breathing. Take a deep one. I let go. I surrender to the present moment, trusting that I can navigate whatever comes my way on this journey of being a targeted individual. And just sit with yourself and note what emotions, sensations, what words are coming to you, because this is your body and your mind giving you key signals.
May I chime in?
Yes.
Okay. So right now I feel this in my heart chakra, and I'm feeling very chaotic. Like I said, the bee's nest. So this is very common. We're stirring up energies that have been trapped inside of the body. We're bringing them into our conscious mind's awareness for review so we can transform and release these energies. So don't run from your emotions, don't stuff them, and do not hide from them. They're here. We need to process them out and release them. Okay.
So now we're going to move into addressing the underlying emotions. So you should have had some emotions, some feelings and sensations come up from those questions. Now imagine the deeply seated emotions you feel about being a targeted individual as being fear, anger, resentment, frustration, and grief. Let's bring these emotions into our mental, safe workspace for insight and clarity. As you focus on each emotion, imagine it as a distinct entity that you can observe and interact with. You're in your safe space. The emotion is presenting itself. Now it is a distinct entity that you're aware of. And now you can observe and interact with it. So let's get into fear. What is the root cause of my overall fear about being a targeted individual? Again, this is a very important question. What is the root cause of my overall fear about being a targeted individual?
May I chime in?
Yes.
Okay, so it has been my experience with issues such as this that underlying emotion is shock, because collectively we've been through a huge upheaval since 2020, and we've been forced with facing some really debilitating truths. So shock is always an anchor emotion that we're dealing with. So I just wanted to bring that into everyone's awareness.
It's a very good point. It literally, it's shock and disbelief of this happening. So the next question is, how is fear of being a targeted individual impacting my life and relationships? This is a big one. So again, how is fear of being a targeted individual impacting my life and relationships? Go ahead, Jamie.
So you're not going to have the opportunity to identify everything right now, but this is something that we can go back to, and I would map out all of my um, fears and how it's impacted my life so we can bring it into full view, because we're going to bring these exercises in at a later date. And this is how we create the new neural network to be able to process out these fears. So I call in all of my fears every day because I don't want them percolating at the subconscious level. I bring them out every single day and sit with my maps. So again, go back and answer these questions and bring in as much awareness that you can.
And the next question would be, what would I like to release or transform about my fears? As you explore the sensations fear brings to your body, imagine it beginning to dissolve and transform, like ice melting in the sun. It is changing its structure. Repeat the following phrases to yourself, allowing emotions and physical sensations of fear to arise within you and to release. Continue breathing. Okay. Now, state, I acknowledge and accept my fear of being a targeted individual. I choose to let go of fear and embrace courage. I release the hold fear has on me. I choose to transform fear into something more empowering and liberating. Keep breathing, keep breathing. We're going to move into anger. And I know for me personally, anger was where I sat for many years in my 13-year targeted experience. So these tools are so valuable. So here we go. What is the root cause of my anger about being a targeted individual?
May I chime in?
Yes.
So this would be powerlessness. We feel powerless when we don't understand things. This is how we're buried under complexity, uncertainty, and vulnerability. But if you can bring these ideas in, we can move through it a lot easier.
So the next question for anger is, how is anger of being a targeted individual impacting my life and relationships? What would I like to release or transform about my anger? As you explore the sensations anger brings to your body, imagine it beginning to dissolve and transform like ice melting in the sun. And repeat the following phrases to yourself, allowing the emotions and physical sensations of anger to arise within and release. I acknowledge and accept my anger of being a targeted individual. I choose to let go of anger and embrace courage. I release the hold anger has on me. I choose to transform anger into something more empowering and liberating. All right, take a couple of deep breaths in. You're in your safe workspace. And just allow things to process. We're going to move now into resentment. What is the root cause of my resentment about being a targeted individual? How is my resentment of being a targeted individual impacting my life and relationships? What would I like to release or transform about my resentment? What came to me was the word comparison. When I see and observe others having what in my mind is this free-flowing life, not being targeted, not having to, put on all of the shielding that you have to navigate your day of being a targeted individual. And that comparison is not working for me. I have to let that go and release it. So resentment is a powerful teacher. So is anger. And
May I speak? Oh,
yes,
sorry.
please. And fear. Fear is always a teacher.
So resentment for me, we weave in and out in different stages of our life. And I've let this go, but it still is an open charge. I'm very resentful towards those who have a following who aren't giving people the proper tools, who are charging money for healing,
Mm-hmm.
and who appear just to want to be an influencer, but with no, they're not offering any protocols or methods. They're not offering their testimonies. Like, that really gets me, but I'm letting it go because it's not something that I have control over. So part of this process is identifying what areas do I have control over, and allowing these emotions to come up. So, because we actually have the power to transform those emotions.
That was a good example, and that's absolutely, we have the power to transform these emotions that cannot be taken from us. So important to build your safe space and to work through these. I also feel led to say when you start the healing on yourself, you are healing your ancestors as well that have gone before you. So you're also raising the vibration and the global consciousness. So your healing is actually like a ripple in the ocean, extending far out. And if you look at it and value it as by you doing the inner work, you're helping others and globally. These programs thrive on, keeping us penned. So doing your inner healing is going to be so transformative, not only for you, but to others as well around you. So we were with resentment. So we're sitting with the resentment and interacting and engaging with it. As you explore the sensations resentment brings to your body, imagine it beginning to dissolve and transform like ice melting in the sun right before you. Repeat the following phrases to yourself, allowing emotions and physical sensations of resentment to arise within you and release them. State aloud or internally, I acknowledge and accept my resentment of being a targeted individual. I choose to let go of resentment and embrace courage. I release the hold resentment has on me. I choose to transform resentment into something more empowering and liberating. Continue your breath work. Now we're going to discuss and bring in frustration. What is the root cause of my frustration about being a targeted individual? How is my frustration of being a targeted individual impacting my life and relationships? What would I like to release or transform about my frustration? What came to mind for me is my frustration is I want to do more, but there's not enough hours in the day. That's what bubbled up with me. Jamie, do you have an example of frustration?
I guess the collective ignorance and the lack of self-compassion and empathy for others.
Yes, that is definitely a global crisis there, the lack of empathy. It just seems like everything is so desensitized that and unfeeling these days, especially while being targeted and attacked.
Yeah.
So as you explore those sensations that are coming up and emotions that frustration bring to your body, imagine it beginning to dissolve and transform like ice melting in the sun. And repeat the following phrases to yourself, allowing emotions and physical sensations of frustration to arise and release. I acknowledge and accept my frustration of being a targeted individual. I choose to let go of frustration and embrace courage. I release the hold frustration has on me. I choose to transform frustration into something more empowering and liberating. And take a couple of deep breaths in and out. We're going to move into grief. I feel very led to say when these emotions and sensations come up with grief, the sadness, just let if you feel like you're about to cry, those tears are cleansing and you're in your safe workspace. It's okay to let it go. Now the questions. What is the root cause of my grief about being a targeted individual? How is my grief of being a targeted individual impacting my life and relationships? What would I like to release or transform about my grief? As you explore the sensations grief brings to your body, imagine it beginning to dissolve and transform like ice melting in the sun. Now, repeat the following phrases to yourself, allowing the emotions and physical sensations of grief to arise within and release. Deep breath in and out. Now say aloud, I acknowledge and accept my grief of being a targeted individual. I choose to let go of grief and embrace courage. I release the hold grief has on me. I choose to transform grief into something more empowering and liberating. Now, deep breaths in and out. You are still in your safe workspace. We are going to move into the integration and closure. So take more deep breaths and allow yourself to integrate the insights and emotions that arose during this journey. I always like to say when I'm integrating things that bubble up, I like to say integrate 3 times because I want my body to pay attention to it. So let's give ourselves some time to integrate those insights and emotions that arose during your journey. Imagine yourself, you're back in your peaceful environment from the beginning of the journey. Now, notice how you feel now compared to when you started. Do you feel lighter, like a burden has lifted? You just gave yourself the sacred space to reveal the areas for healing. Very powerful. Remember that this mental workspace is always available to you whenever you need to process and release emotions. Repeat the following phrase to yourself, feeling the truth of these words in your heart and your mind. I am safe. I am loved. I am supported in the ever-present now moment. Through my authenticity, I am capable of navigating any challenge that comes my way. Practice this guided flow regularly to reinforce the release of complexity, uncertainty, and vulnerability, and to address underlying emotions. That was a beautiful guided journey. It was very, very helpful to me. I even just in saying it to the community, things were coming up. I definitely feel this is a very valuable tool because, like you said, resentment, frustration, anger, grief, these are anchors. So you have to understand them as being things that are keeping you tethered from your and pinned down from your liberation and your healing. And these same anchors is exactly what is the mechanism being used against you in your targeted experience. And by freeing yourself from the anchors, then the strongholds of this technology are significantly impacted by you doing that inner healing journey and work. It's like throwing up a stop sign to all of these anchors being used against you, to isolate you, to control you, to have you step out and into your potential, and for you to embrace your skills and the life that you're meant to have. I advise it. You use this regularly. It's a very good tool. Thank you, Jamie, for sharing that.
Sure. Can we get some comments as to where this energy was felt internally? If we had any heart chakra, or has anyone commented?
Let's take a look. Yes.
So it's not uncommon to feel this possibly into the next day. This is like a download, a CD that you're installing on your hard drive. So it's going to permeate the subconscious, and you may pull in, you may feel a little bit lethargic or depressed. I'd really like to know if anyone stepped into, if any major fear came up for anyone, trying to gauge to see where people are.
Tracy had stated, was beautiful. Thank you, Melissa and Jamie. And I think that when you tap into these emotions, Brian states that it sounds like witchcraft to him. This is, and maybe you're being influenced to say something of this nature, because inner healing is not witchcraft. Inner healing is liberation. So
Let's reroute him back to himself for some self-reflection and inner work. He probably doesn't, this material is probably not for him.
when this first started with me, I really knew that I had to dig into the energy because I had an elderly mother at the time who was also being attacked. She was attacked shortly after I was attacked, and I was her caregiver for the most part. She didn't drive anymore and had some health conditions. They weren't, terminal or anything at that point, but there was the fire within me that I cannot succumb to this. I have to navigate this. Not only was it for myself, but I had my mother who was dependent on me. I had to continue to bring in income and provide for us. So for me myself, there was no question. I could not lay down. I could not surrender. So I started, digging into the psychology of manipulation, which is what this is. The root of it is, it's all manipulation. And then you have to sit with your own information that was stolen from your thoughts, your mind, your emails, and all that, being in the gaslighting of it. So again, I got a very audible message from what I feel to be God, that if you get to the root of what's causing you the pain from these attacks and the tactics and the words being used to you, it won't hurt you anymore.
There's nothing to resonate with the attack. Your vibration raises and you become impervious.
Exactly. And this technique is building up that cryptographic mind, that you will have your firewall in place to not receive these type of attacks. But this is a process. 13 years into this, you have to continue to want to strive for your inner healing, because that is what makes you immune to the tactics that are being done against you as a targeted individual.
Yes.
Cool
And
Breeze
thank you.
Tony, Jamie, we've got a comment from Cool Breeze Tony. He says, for me, it was from the gut, knowing they are able to play tricks on us without us being able to do anything. Yes, fear. Yes, he had fear in early periods. Now, after 30 years constant targeting via V2K, I knew it as a prank. So you have built up in a recognition that the V2K is a prank, and it is a prank. It's a trick, and it's to throw you off track. It's to make you stumble. It's made to make you pause and not go toward your healing, your liberation, and stepping into your life. That's exactly what it is. Jamie, do you have some guidance for Tony?
So for the V2K, I school them. I go through all my processes. I carry on conversations. I make a game out of it. It's actually quite fun at this point in time. You will develop that ability to be able to, this is how we crush their systems. We start training AI, training nanoparticles.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you have to see it as, when we choose to be resilient to the tactics that are being used against us, it is like the AI has got an error message that it's not familiar or expected. It didn't expect that response, and it can't commute.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at it from the angle, from the lens of this, then we know we have to continue tripping the system, because we are moving in. Now, as you move in to your inner healing journey and becoming that, building that firewall within your mind and nervous system, because your subconscious is, like Jamie says, the governor. Okay. So you've got to tap into your subconscious governor, being like, it's going to send the signals to the rest of your body if there is a threat, okay, or a perceived threat. So if the governor has got the firewall going, that is BS, that is invalid, that is garbage, then the downstream benefit to that is your systems are not receiving that threat. Does that, I'm trying to articulate this, how important it is to do a system override, and this letting things bubble up, because when you suppress, it persists. So if you continue to say, I'm not dealing with you today, grief, it's just going to sit there, and it's going to gain momentum. And then if you don't allow it to release, it's going to, and many times anger was like this with me. I just kept repressing it, explosion. I
Yeah,
have
this
like,
is trauma. It's
Yes.
trauma. We're releasing trauma, and it has to be done slowly over time through many, 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 many clearings, and processing out the emotions, going back in time, um, really getting very, very clear on what it is that we're afraid of and what programs we're dealing with. But when we release these programs, it has nothing, there's nothing there. We can move through it.
I've found great benefit, and when the attacks, the directed energy, you've got to breathe. You got to breathe it out. You got to connect with God and bring that light in and exhale. I visualize myself being covered by light, and you can use many visualization techniques, but what you want to do is, if your subconscious is like, okay, we've got a threat, we're going into hyper alert, we're in the fight or flight, your whole body is tuned into this, right? So what you have to do is system override, going deep breaths, bringing in the light. I am safe. This is only temporary. It will pass. You can do these things, which tells your body, hey, you're hitting the reset button when you go into this mode. The attack is on fire. You're going into system override. No, we're going to the system is going to calm down and it's going to release the stronghold. You've got to, whatever emotions are coming up in that moment as you're being attacked, you've got to reset the bar that, okay, I'm going to choose to breathe, to do my breath work. I'm going to choose to breathe it out. I'm going to go get, my essential oils. I'm going to get the things that will help calm my system down from that attack. These are the tactical things that you can put into place as a practice so that you're not engulfed in the attack. And the one thing that I want to tell you is you don't deserve to have to sit through an attack against your body. So you must develop the tools needed to diffuse the attack. And I know that some are thinking, well, that's easier said than done. When you're getting the directed energy, your head's on fire. Look, I completely understand. I understand about the attacks at the chest. So what, dig into that pain within your heart, go through the exercise and see what comes up. Because what comes up is your counter move. All right. And doing your breath work.
Well, and two, that's your moment to push past your threshold. It is in those moments that we transform the spin into another structure.
That's
So
right. That's
when
right.
you're going through the pain and you're in distress, if you can just, become your own cheerleader, say the right words, you will spin the momentum and pull yourself out of the structure. But unfortunately, it has to be done. You're going back to your threshold to create a new baseline formula. You're building resistance in the nervous system, capacity, and it happens slowly over time. Each time you go into an attack, allow it to feel, bring it up, and release it. It'll get easier and easier every time. You're actually preparing yourself to take on higher frequencies. There's actually a silver lining to all of this. We won't get into that now, and it's hard to believe, but there really is a silver lining.
And I agree with you, because these attacks are in low vibration. So as you let go of the things, the anchors that are in you emotionally, that trauma, and releasing it, again, it takes work and it takes practice, but then you become lighter and your vibration overall is raising. And these attacks are dependent on the low vibration. So they want you to trip, they want you to stumble and just suffer in the attack. So you have to know that you have to counter it. Yes, it's a struggle. Yes, it is. You've got to raise your bar. You got to push the envelope. You've got to say, nope, I am not giving in to this. I'm going to release it. I'm going to do my breath work. I'm going to do system override. This is not
So,
a
but
threat.
we bring in our other tools, affirmations,
Mhm.
meditation, project-based learning, you
Music.
know, taking time to really assess our relationships, understanding codependency, our reactions. We then take this new knowledge in to the attacks. So it's really a beautiful, beautiful experience once you start to get the processes down, because you
You,
see very clearly how they work.
you will see so much how you are evolving and you're going in the right direction. It it doesn't say that sometimes you don't slip and fall. You just got to get back up and start again. It this is, I mean, we're in a cognitive battle here, and it's our mind and our nervous system that is on attack. So you also got to give yourself some space and grace during this process as well, because these emotions have been suppressed for a very long time. They could have come while you were even in the womb or when you were a child. You know, you've got to get, these are very deep rooted emotions that are being triggered by this type of attack. So what the worst thing you can do for yourself is to not embrace your inner healing, okay? Because that is the door, the gateway to your liberation. And the other thing is we want to continue bringing awareness. We want to put those ripples in the ocean that this technology, these programs exist, that we as a community are not going to accept this as our day-to-day life and existence, and we are going to choose to heal ourselves while going and navigating through this and spreading our awareness. Does we're open up for any other additional
Anyone have any questions?
questions? Juice says, always appreciate your interviews. We have such a lovely community. I think this exercise here, it was this guided exercise is just, it really is thought provoking. It's going to, you know, these emotions that are coming up, it may have been something we weren't even thinking about, and that's what these tools do. Is it allows you the space, the safe space that you've created to have them come up and for you to interact and engage with them. And when you have these emotions come up, you can ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And see what word comes to you. Again, you're interacting and engaging with it. You're acknowledging that it exists. And then you can integrate that knowledge that you've gained from that interaction. And Jamie, was this guided meditation, is this part of the mission document?
You can go ahead and put that in there. I sent you an email with,
Okay, I'm gonna put this in
okay,
into it, and then what I'll do is I will publish it on the my X page. I can certainly, for those who do not have an X page, please send me an email at chosen_heroes@proton.me and ask for the for the guide. It's going to be added to the mission guide. So the one that I provided the link to, it's this one here, the mission guide. I will add it in there. It also has the diagrams as well. And go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So I would like to offer for serious individuals, if they want to email me directly to quantumrealitystudies@yahoo.com. We can set up a time to chat. I'll do half-hour blocks, explain the process to see if I can clarify some things. And I'm willing to do the energy maps, after a consultation. But again, serious inquiries only. I really only want to be dealing with people who have the soldier mindset, who are moving forward, who want, resolution. I'm not trying to be rude, and I apologize. I've just had 20 years of counseling with people, and I've just dealt with all kinds. So it's serious inquiries only.
Yes, and Jamie is offering the community these services at no cost, understanding that we as a community have been financially, burdened from trying, to shield, and how being a targeted individual can impact our job and ability to work. So again, these tools are going to help you move forward and in your journey, and to help you. I'll also put a poll out on the X channel to gauge, having the regular meetings that Jamie has offered, if we have interest, and we could do them weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. I'll gauge the response in that as well.
And yeah, they can email me too, questions, whatever. I'm on Facebook and Substack. I don't really do much on X or Rumble.
Yes. Okay. That would be great. And hi, Faye. I see that you joined. Hi, Battle for Your Brain as well. And Tony says, I appreciate each of you. We are above this deal. Every day we decide to make our world better, checking our emotions and being mature, and separate from the stalkers and shield. Absolutely. Amen. Yes.
Yes.
Well, beloved community, I know that we are covered and we are guided by God in the universe, and our liberation is coming from this. So let's embrace this moment today, and let's start our healing and continue. Now, knowing that when you begin to heal, you will get some resistance, but you know that you're on the right track for yourself, okay? And you have to do this for yourself, because I believe in each and every single one of you. You've got this. Know that you are loved, you are heard, and you matter, and this whole community supports you. Hi, Philip. Philip says that he is suicidal, and we're going to pray for you, Philip, that Lord God, please, I ask that you cover Philip, and you protect him, and let Philip understand and know that he is loved and heard and guided by you. That Philip, no matter the storm that you see right now, there is a way and a path through it. You have the whole community of targeted individuals here raising you up and lifting you up and supporting you. And Philip, I advise that you look into the tievents.org website. There's TI events. There is every single day multiple opportunities to be supported by the community, because we love you, Philip, and we believe in you. Jamie, would you
Yes.
like
And
would you
so,
like
Philip, if you want to, I'm happy to talk to you after the podcast. If you want to email me, quantumrealitystudies@yahoo.com. Give me your phone number and I'll call you and I'll work through and reset your mind.
quantumrealitystudies@yahoo.com?
Mhm.
That is the email address. Philip, you've got this. We've all been there. We've all been in the pits before, and I promise you, you know, it will get better. You've got to stay connected with the community. You will find your path. And please don't hesitate to reach out to Jamie. You can reach out to me at chosen_heroes at proton.me. We support you, Philip. You've got this. Jamie, thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being a guest here today and for your generous offer to help the community by organizing an interactive conference call, you know, kind of like a Zoom or the free conference call arena, so that you can actively engage with others that are desiring to participate in their journey toward their inner healing, and knowing that together we are strong and we are united, and we will get through this. So I will be putting the poll out on X, most likely today, to gauge in interest. And again, if you're not on X, you can email me or Jamie in your interest in participating in these. They will be separate from the Chosen Hero podcast.
Thank you so much, Melissa. You do a beautiful job.
Thank you. As always, TIs, you know, stay strong and stay connected to God. Practice the exercises and the tools. You know, build up your tactical toolkit. You can get through the storm. You are not alone. We are all in this together. Much love to you all, and God bless you, and God keep you safe. Love to you all. Thank you so much.